Hey, if you're tuning in now, this is my second part to my top 5 Universal monster movies. So let's get down to the final two, okay? Number 2, one of the Frankenstein movies. This is hard because I consider at least the first 3 to be equal. I both Colin Clive, Ernest Thesiger, and Basil Rathbone do fantastic jobs as mad scientists, and of course Boris Karloff is fantastic as the creature. But in terms of story, character development, I well, not really character development, but I have to say if I was forced to pick one, Bride of Frankenstein would be my favorite Frankenstein movie. I love the music. The music is just great. And yes, you have Una O'Connor again screaming, but you're gonna deal with. But that, it's kind of funny at times. But you have the great Ernest Thesiger play this diabolical and stereotypical mad scientist. And people say it was Dr. Frankenstein who started the whole stereotype mad scientist. No, I'm pretty sure it's Pretorius. He looks the part. He laughs like the mad scientist, and and he's evil. That's the best word I could say. I'm sorry, but it sounds simple, but he's evil. He has dinner with corpses. Okay, fine, it's just a skull, but whatever. It's, it's messed up. But I like how um, they wanted to expand the whole Frankenstein story, and they wanted to add more to elements from the novel that Mary Shelley wrote. In fact, the opening is kind of interesting. I thought it was a bit weird that they had Mary Shelley and Lord Byron and Percy Shelley in the movie, and it seems like they're saying, "Oh, everything that happened in the previous movie was in the book," which is completely different. So, but I kind of liked it in a way. It was because I liked it because of what they did with Mary Shelley in the end. And I'll get to that. Also, this was a good. I think was enough to give Colin Clive a break. Like the whole movie was about him in a way, and now we get to focus more on the monster's development. How he, and it is it is a lot like the book where he's wandering the forest and he's misunderstood. Like the animals are afraid of him. He tries to save a drowning girl and he gets shot at because they think he's hurting her. But the best scene, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people will agree with this, the best scene in my opinion is him interacting with the blind man. That scene, I don't cry, but it makes me want to cry when the blind man befriends the monster and he gives him food and shelter and lets the monster sleep on a bed, and they pray together, and then they both cry together. It's really touching. Like, even acknowledges the monster is in a way human, because there was a specific scene when the hermit says, "If you understand what I'm saying, put your hand on my shoulder." And the monster does. So there is humanity in this creature that Boris Karloff portrays, and something we didn't really see. No, never mind. We did see it in the first movie. It was hinted at with the little Maria girl scene. And you know what? I think, actually, come to think of it, I think there is a little tie into this, because he didn't realize that little Maria was gonna drown in the first movie, but when he sees this shepherdess fall in the water, he instinctively tries to save her. So I think there's a little bit more development in this one. But the blind man scene is just great, and we have great acting from Colin Clive. We have a new Elizabeth, which is different. I haven't forgot. She was in her teens when she played this role. But let me get back to what I was gonna talk about. We have the person who played Mary Shelley, Elsa Lanchester. She plays the bride in the end, and that's something that's sort of in the book, where Victor is forced to create a companion for the monster. Only he doesn't. He doesn't bring her to life, but spoilers. In this one, he does, and Dr. Pretorius pronounces her the Bride of Frankenstein. And so it's kind of you're a little confused, like, Is this Frankenstein's bride? Is the monster Frankenstein and that's his bride? Of course, the answer is no. The monster's not Frankenstein. But I love that. The ending, again, I love the endings in Universal. Usually they end with an explosion or something, but um, it was really made me want to cry. There was a little bit of trivia like Dr. Frankenstein in both movies. He was supposed to die in both Frankenstein movies. In fact, if you look at Bride of Frankenstein, you can clearly see Colin and Clive in the building when it starts to collapse. But this was a great film. I'm glad that Boris Karloff got to talk as the monster, like you understood him and everything. There it is, Bride of Frankenstein. And now, my number one monster movie, Dracula. This is pretty much no surprise. Why Dracula? Okay. It was basic. I think it was Universal's first talking monster film. I'm pretty sure of it. And actually, I want to go into why Dracula has a special spot in my heart in general, and I would like to share that. In seventh grade, I was reading the book. I don't even remember why, but my teacher noticed, and he said, "Have you ever seen the movie?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Would you like to borrow it?" And I said, "Yeah, thanks." And he gave me the VHS copy of it, which had the Kronos Quartet that had the music in the background. The original movie version didn't have music in the background, and I was in awe. Like the gothic atmosphere of Transylvania, the how immensely large Castle Dracula looked, the foggy streets of London, the maniacal ravings of Dwight Fry's Renfield, the crafty knowledge of Edward Van Sloan's Van Helsing, and the deadly, diabolical, and yet elegant Count Dracula played fantastically and iconically by Bela Lugosi, who only played Dracula, actually, if you think about it, played Dracula 3 times instead of two. Two for film. But there is a third time he played Dracula, which was a short Betty Boop kind of skit routine you can find on YouTube. So, it's a little misleading. I think it's 3 times, actually, he's played Dracula. He's played vampires numerous times, but back to Dracula. Anyway, I watched the movie, and I loved it, and I had numerous conversations with my teacher about it, and in fact, that's sort of how I got into monster movies in general, because of my teacher. He introduced me to the Universal Monsters. And when I graduated from elementary school, he gave me these 2 gifts, these bobbleheads of Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff, and I've had treasured them ever since. They're always in the background up there. But about a year or two later, I was at this fair, and they were selling stuff. Ironically enough, I was buying a Dracula postcard. I'm looking at it right now, and about a few minutes later, I got a phone call, and I learned that my teacher passed away, and I was very, very disappointed. But years then in my junior year in high school, I learned that my theater was putting on Dracula, and my friend of mine said, "Jack, you have to do this," and so I was determined to at least play some part in this, and I was the dramaturg, which means I was basically the walking Wikipedia guide on Dracula, and I had so much fun. I was so excited for this play. I even wrote to Bela Lugosi Jr. asking him to come to the play. I never thought I'd get a response, but I got one. Okay, that's my personal history with Dracula. It's a fantastic book, also, by the way, and it was Bram Stoker's birthday just a few days ago, so I was celebrating. What do I love about this movie? Bela Lugosi and Edward Van Sloan and Dwight Fry, all of them steal the show. I think it's hard to pick between Dwight Fry and Bela Lugosi of who steals the show. Dwight Fry literally freaked me out. That laugh that he gives, that that yeah, that was just terrifying. Um, I really liked. It was kind of interesting that No, I mean, no, it was not interesting. I don't know where I was going with this. I think that for it wasn't the first vampire or Dracula film. I think there was Nosferatu, and I think there were two others before it. But this is the one where we get the classic image of Dracula, the classic voice, that Transylvanian accent that everyone parodies and makes fun of. Recently, Adam Sandler, um, in Hotel Transylvania. But Dracula is just, I think, one of the greatest vampire novels of all time. It's one of the greatest of Universal because it's so it's scary. Like even the silent films, you have music. This one, the only music piece you have is the Swan Lake at the opening of this movie, and the rest is all quiet, and it's just kind of terrifying. Like you feel a chill in the air. You can think you hear the wind, and you could just feel Bela Lugosi like when they show him staring at someone. They're staring at the camera. It's like he's staring at you. It's incredible, and I love that shit. Um, I don't know what else I can say. I love there. It's interesting to note that there was a Spanish version of this film, and when I say that, it was different actors, but the same set, same script, and in some ways, it's actually superior to the Bela Lugosi film. Like it's more violent and more good camera angles and stuff like that. But I still like all Dracula films. Um, Nowadays, people when they think of vampires, they think of Twilight, and like I just wish people would remember this gem and stop making fun of it. I think Dracula just redefined the horror genre in general. I think after Dracula came out, that's when the horror boom started in a way. That's when we started getting all these monsters come about. I think it was Dracula. That's why I think it's the best. So there's my belated Halloween top 5 monster movie review thing. Extortion, whatever. So, I will end this with an old toast. Lofty timbers, the walls around are bare, echoing to our laughter as though the dead were there. Happy belated Halloween!